Hello, David Dritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. Okay, it was 60 years ago today, September 17th, in London, when Goldfinger premiered, and the world has never been the same. Certainly the Bond fandom world has never been the same, but today I thought I would celebrate a little bit by talking about the top 7, the 007 ways that Goldfinger has become a perfect Bond film? It's arguable, right? But maybe a perfect film to itself. So let's begin with number 7. First of all, number 7 is, and it's kind of a strange one to start with, but we can't ignore it. Goldfinger, 60 years ago today, had an amazingly positive critical reception. In fact, coming off of, if you think about it, Dr. No, which some people thought was great, but rather subdued. It was obviously done on a budget, so it had just a certain ceiling, if you will, of what it could be from a spectacular standpoint. Then you had From Russia with Love, possibly the perfect spy film, but still rather subdued in its approach. But Goldfinger went for the gold. Excuse the pun, yada yada. It really did, and the critics just ate it up. There was middling reviews along the way for the first 2 Bond films, but Goldfinger soared high. And critics do influence people, even today, and the critics of the time put butts in seats. People had to find out what were all these critics so excited about, and they created an influx to Goldfinger. In fact, some critics of the day and still today said it was the benchmark of cinema. I know, not just the benchmark of the Bond films today, because let's face it, there's only been 3 at the time, but of cinema-going pleasure and experience. That fact that you got your money's worth and so much more. A bullion of money's worth, as a matter of fact. And it was so critically acclaimed and then adopted by the audience of the times that it actually made $120 million. $120 million. Way back when. I mean, that's like 18,000 billion today. I don't know math. Do I look like an accountant? No, but that was definitely one of the reasons why it got a kickstart, a real ignition of popularity into our culture. All right, number 2 is, and many critics say this today, but many Bond fans say this as well, Goldfinger captures all the elements of the Bond formula that we love, that have actually been the ingredients of success. And let's talk about some of them. First of all, you've got gadgets. Maybe you have the number 1 Bond gadget, and that is the DB5, the Aston Martin DB5 in all its glory. That in and of itself could stop, but then you have other gadgets throughout strewn. You've got an amazing Q branch scene. Everybody loves Q branch. Everybody loves gadgets. And for most people, some of their best Bond films have the gadgetry of it all. But they also have another thing that people glom onto, and that is the villain, or villains in case of henchmen. You've got Auric Goldfinger, Goldfinger himself. I mean, the very title of the film is about the villain because the villain is so strong. The actor who played Gert Frobe, and I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but let's celebrate anyway, did an amazing job. Even though he was dubbed, he came across, he had all the dimensionality of a maniacal, over-the-top, world-domineering type villain. And let's face it, dangerous. I mean, villains can be fun, but they also need to be dangerous. They need to set up a certain amount of, oh gosh, the hero's nail-biting moment, not going to get out of this. And Goldfinger does that. And that would have been enough. But then you tie it with Oddjob, who arguably, maybe next to Jaws, is one of the most identifiable henchmen of all times. He set up the very pattern of what a henchman could be and is to date. So if somebody on the street says, name a James Bond henchman right away, boom. One of the first things they say is Oddjob. And you also gave the henchman an incredible gadget. I mean, the hat itself is a character to itself. But the biggest thing from a Bond formula standpoint, and we could be here all day talking about the different tropes and criteria that we love about a Bond film, is fantasy. More so than Dr. No, and certainly more so than From Russia with Love. They brought the fantasy element. The whole idea of escapism, Goldfinger really started that. It, you could argue, invented that in the Bond formula of it's such a fantasy, it's so over the top, it's so bombastic and crazy that it has to be a Bond film. And people love that, especially of the times. I love how people say, oh, in the 50s and the 60s and this. No, any generation, today in 2024, people love to escape. There's enough pressures and politics and world geographies and wars and your everyday job that you want to escape. And Goldfinger provides that remove your mind for 2 hours and escape with it. It set up that whole formula. All right, number 3, and this is a big one, and I'm standing next to one. Goldfinger set up iconic images. Now we could, again, we could have a top 25 list of iconic images throughout the James Bond franchise and movies. But a woman painted gold, laying on a bed, that happens to be an iconic image. A bowler hat, steel rimmed, sets up an iconic image. Even the moments of gold and those different aspects set up iconic images. The whole idea that this movie, Goldfinger, had these iconic images that have become part of the zeitgeist of Bond. In fact, some of these iconic images are replicated in later Bond films because they know that they pull on our nostalgia. And iconic images, and this is where I told you to get a little metaphysical here, iconic images are things that we can hold on to like trinkets very easily. We're very susceptible to icons. We're very susceptible to imagery. And if we could take something simple and hold on to it, we can share it with others. It's something that's very indelible and memorable. And that's why Goldfinger is such a memorable film to people that are not James Bond fans, that do not have a walkout basement filled with items, because of the simple plot, the simple iconic imagery that people can hold on to and keep. Yeah, you didn't think this was going to be a psychology lesson, did you? Part of the celebration. All right, it's me. So we have to talk about productization and marketing. It can be said with a lot of accuracy that Goldfinger launched the marketing engine around James Bond, the productization, where you could leave the theater and capture a piece of the film. And this is it's a very strong marketing technique where people can live with the character beyond that. And it helps for you to hold on to the movie, it helps to draw people back to the movie, and it helps to share the news. Think about it. If you love a movie and you could capture a small piece from it, it's like a continuation. You're emulating and you're projecting yourself into the movie as a character. And that's why nostalgia is so strong. I've done videos on this galore. But Goldfinger put toys, they put products, they put clothing into your stores, into Sears and others, and you could walk in and capture a moment of that. That's what started and really ignited the whole spy craze. And you could go back to Goldfinger as an example of why this happened. It launched so many other spy movies, spy products, and the imagination of children and older children. And it's still happening today. Here we are. It's the 60th anniversary, 60 years later, bonkers. And you still have products launching like the London Stock Exchange. And I have a whole video on these, so I'm not going to go over them. But, you know, DB5 and there's your odd job moment. This is being launched. All these different Goldfinger socks that you can get. You've got Penfold, who have taken that poster and put it onto a golf towel. So when you go golfing, you can show your love of one of the #1 James Bond films. Heck, even your tees, and putting a new type of, look at that, 60th anniversary Goldfinger boxing that is created through Eon and Penfold. And today you've got N. Peel doing launches. You've got Globetrotter doing launches. You have some launches from other brands coming up in the future. You've got Burlington Arcade putting an entire installation all focused on Goldfinger. Why? The imagery, the moment, the importance of this film, it cannot be ignored. And that's one of the reasons to celebrate. Part of the productization and marketing of it is some of the celebration. But we've got to go to the next one, which is, and I've got to say this because I preach it over and over and over again. And it's what I crave, even in the next Bond film. Goldfinger is a fun film. Now, I've gotten in trouble for this in the past by saying, I want more fun in Bond films. And they were like, you want more slapstick and double take and pigeons? That's my impression of the person that said that. I don't know. No, I'm not looking for slapstick. And I'm not looking for, like, slide whistles when cars jump over water. No. I want fun, meaning I want to get caught up into the character. I want to have triumphant moments. Beginning, middle, end. Triumphant. Bond is a hero. Is he an anti-hero? Heck yeah. Is he fallible? Oh yes. But he's still a hero, and he's supposed to have these heroic, triumphant moments. Goldfinger has triumphant moments throughout. In fact, you could often say that Bond as a character has the most triumphant moments. He's successful in what he does. He dispatches the bad guy. He dispatches the henchman. He does get the girl in the end. One of them, not so much, but, but one of them he does. And something, he's a hero to all in what he does. There's triumphant, fun moments. There's humor. But humor isn't slapstick humor, right? It's not humor for the sake of the plot and the seriousness of this being a James Bond film. It's situational humor. It's incidental humor. And even the one-liners are such that it shows a part of the character of Bond as maybe just dealing with murder and death in the way he does, in a sardonic and pithy way. And don't we all want to sort of be like that? So to me, these fun and triumphant moments are one of the reasons why Goldfinger is so celebrated. Now, it would not be a celebration of Goldfinger or any Bond film without talking about one of the prime reasons. We're getting to the top one in a second, but the second top reason that Goldfinger is such a part of who we are has got to be the music, the score, and the song. Now, the music itself by John Barry is perfect. I mean, for me, I can put on Goldfinger in the car. I can put on Goldfinger while I read a book, or just sit and have a drink, or just do nothing. I could just put on Goldfinger because it has so many notes that connect me back to the film, because John Barry is a storyteller through music. And what I mean by that is he can take a scene like Into Miami, and you feel like you're into Miami. You can tie those iconic images and the moments of the film back to the music. The music is a character, and it interweaves everything together. It's like the sinew that holds all the wonderful parts and pieces together. That's what a great score does. But then you tie it with Shirley Bassey's amazing song, Goldfinger, and I'm not going to disturb you with my horrible pitch. It's too much to scratch an itch. I'm just not going to. So I won't sing it, but you want to sing it, right? I mean, when it's on, you just want to like start crooning with it. It is, again, it's one of these showstopper moments where if it's not your favorite Bond song, it's certainly the most iconic. It's the one that if you played it to a group of 100 people off the street and you asked them, here are 5 songs, which one is a Bond song? They would say, oh, that one, that's Goldfinger. It even says it in the title. It also is a song that matches the character. I mean, you're literally talking about the villain, but it's painting. It's helping the audience paint a dimensionality around the character that you're going to meet, and also why they're so dangerous. I mean, a Midas touch, turning everything to gold, spider's touch. It's scary. And that's the whole thing, going back to the wonderful painting and the color of a villain, is to show them who they are and who they will be and the danger of it all in a film. The song pays that off. That's insane. I mean, usually nowadays, we're just happy that we enjoy the song, that it's a toe tapper, it's something we can sing to, but most of you watching this video right now can probably sing with accuracy, unlike me, some of the parts of Goldfinger. It's got to be celebrated. All right, here we go. On the 60th anniversary day, what is the number one thing that I'm going to say is the reason to celebrate Goldfinger? And boy, I would tell you to get out of town and hand over your Bond fan card, David, if I didn't choose this. And it's Sean Connery. Of course, it's Sean Connery. Sean Connery is, to me and many others, the reason why Bond is Bond. And he is the template. He is the benchmark for what every other Bond could or should be. Bond in Goldfinger is at the height of who I want the character to be. He's, again, a little pithy, sardonic. He takes the mickey out of people. He doesn't take things too seriously, but he looks the part. He looks dangerous. I mean, even I've worn, the N. Peele version of his outfit from that film. When he's being held on a plane or on a laser table, he's still got the quips. He's got that really great watch with all the things he adopts about it. And most importantly, he brings Sean Connery to the table. I mean, I don't know who comes first. Is it Bond, the character in this film, or is it Sean Connery? Because I feel like we're getting the right measurement, the right ingredients of both that only Sean Connery can deliver. And I don't think he was, I'm going to say this, but I'm going to keep it light because it's a celebration, folks. He didn't bring that sort of Sean Connery who was done with the character. I think he was still caught up in really delivering those lines perfectly, the right amount of acting, the right amount of intensity that he has. And let's face it, he's cool as a cucumber in this film. He moves like a panther, the way he moves. He is exactly who we want to emulate as Bond. Now, I think that pays forward in Thunderball in a great way, but people have problems with pacing of Thunderball. You only live twice. People start to say, well, Connery got a little bit, he looks bored. Is he sort of working through the motions? Diamonds Are Forever has its own issues. Never Say Never Again has production issues, so it didn't highlight Connery in the way, even though he was sort of back in the way he was acting. So all the other films after this sort of had middling deliveries of Connery in setting up the perfect stage, story, villain, environment, song, music. What Goldfinger inarguably does is it gives the actor the great film, the great playground to play in. And Connery delivers in spades. I mean, delivers big. I dare anybody in the comments to say, well, yeah, I mean, Goldfinger's fine, but yeah, Connery's performance, it was amazing. And I think that one of the things I love about the first three Connery films leading up to Goldfinger is you have an arc of Connery's adoption of the character. You've got Dr. No, it's his freshman outing, sophomore outing from Russia with Love. He's a little bit more serious. He kind of turns up the seriousness a little bit. But Goldfinger, he's playing with it. He's comfortable, right? It's his junior year. He knows where the bathrooms are in the school. He knows all the teachers. Hiya, Mr. Kindle. How you doing? Connery is comfortable in his own skin. He's comfortable in the character. And Goldfinger, to me, benefits so much. It's why I can watch it over and over again. And it keeps rising. Yeah, you probably want to know at the end of this celebration video, where is Goldfinger to me? It keeps rising below. It was ranked in a, not low, but kind of like upper middle area, and now it just keeps rising. And especially in the 60th year, where hopefully many of you get to see it in the theater, here's to hoping. Find a theater that is showing Goldfinger, see it on the big screen, and you will see what I mean. All right, assignment, operation, and mission I have for you right now, and I'm getting weirdly close to the camera to deliver it. On this celebration day or week, and however you're celebrating it, number one, tell me why you think Goldfinger is an amazing film. And number two, for extra bonus points, tell me how you're going to celebrate Goldfinger. It could be something as simple as watching it at home or introducing a non-Bond fan to the world of Bond through watching Goldfinger. It's a technique and it works. In the meantime, I'll let you go because you need to celebrate. Celebrate Goldfinger and James Bond. This has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.